Hello, Mavs. Welcome. It is so wonderful to be with you this morning. I am super excited. Today's just a really fun activity, and I have a fun extension for you at the end if you are interested. Today, we're going to be creating using the data from a graph that you get to create. Again, you get to choose any option. You can graph anything that you want that makes sense for what you have available to you. And then you're going to create two different types of graphs. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So before you begin, I want you to think about what is your survey going to be about? What is it today that you would love to graph? Okay. The next thing that I want you to understand is that for the graph that's provided for you on the sheets on your homework page, you are limited to 4 options. Just like I said, I'm going to be including these sheets. You can also download them from the internet or you can create your own. If you're like, I want to graph something that has like 10 options, then awesome. Way to challenge yourself. You go ahead and do that. So if you want to just do the 4 that is available to you or on the sheet on your homework page that you can download, then that's another option. So you have really, it's kind of up to you as a learner and as a student-led learner to decide what it is that you want to use and do today. All right, so to begin, I'm going to start us off I like kind of starting this off thinking about the data that we're reading and seeing in our bar graphs, and then I'm going to go through and we're going to go ahead and do a few of these together. Let's see.
There is Sam. Hey Sam, what are you building with these blocks? Sam is just counting how many blocks he has of each color. Sam, without counting blocks, can you tell us which color blocks do you have the most and which color blocks the least? Well, there is a simple way, Sam. Just do a simple trick. Stack all the red blocks one over the other. Good. Now stack all the blue blocks one over the other. Excellent, Sam. Now stack all the green blocks one over the other. Good work, Sam. Now just step back and observe the 3 stacks. Now, just by looking at the stacks, can you tell which color blocks are the most and which are the least? The stack of blue blocks is the highest. So, blocks of blue color are the most. The stack of green blocks is the shortest. So, blocks of green color are the least. What we have done here is created a model of a bar graph. A bar graph is a chart in which the values of data items are shown by bars of different lengths. Greater the value, longer the bar. Here is a bar graph showing the extracurricular activities chosen by students of a class. A bar graph has 2 main lines, a horizontal line and a vertical line that meet at a point. The data items are arranged on the horizontal line. In this bar graph, the data items are activities such as painting, day modeling, skating, and judo. The vertical line shows a scale of numbers. The values of data items are read on this scale. The value of each data item is shown by a bar. The height of the bar on the scale shows the actual value of a data item. For example, the top of the bar for the activity painting reads 10 on the scale. So, 10 children have chosen painting as their extracurricular activity. By looking at the chart, can you tell which activity has been chosen by the largest number of children?
All right, guys, so that's going to kind of get us started.
Clay modeling is correct.
That's right. All right, so that's going to get us started kind of with thinking. So yesterday, I know I spent a good amount of time creating that graph with you. So I'm going to use that same graph again today so we don't waste time doing that. But you can go back and revisit that if you want to look at the way I kind of used and found data to create that graph. All right, guys, so today our job is we're going to be using this graph to create a picture graph and a bar graph on the data. So you can see that the first thing I had to do was to collect and analyze my data. So if you are using the sheet that we created or that you're having from your workbook page, then you're going to go ahead and have this data on it that has the 4 options. So because I counted coins yesterday, I'm going to be using that same data to here. So I'm going to go ahead and call this coins in I'm going to call it a piggy bank just because I'm going to use that for our extension today. All right. So now, because we're not doing this as an in-class activity, so we're just going to say coins and then types. So I'm just going to do a quarter, dime, nickel, penny. All right, and we know we had 8 pennies from yesterday. Let's go ahead and read our bar graph. We had 8 pennies, 16 nickels, 8 dimes, and 7 quarters. Okay, so I'm just going to fill in that data. How many quarters? 7. All right, now the first one, you're going to show this data above on a picture graph. So you're going to keep the same title. Okay, and just like Mrs. A told you, you can use, really in-depth pictures if you would like, or you can just use symbols. So today I'm going to use symbols for mine because it's quicker for us. So I'm going to, same thing. Okay, and I am going to fill in this data. So my symbol for quarters today is going to be this. And since I had 7 quarters, I'm going to make 7 pictures for my graph. With dimes, since I had 8, I'm going to call these D. Okay, and I would go ahead and do the same thing for my nickels and my pennies. Okay, now with your bar graph, you're going to be doing the same thing. Again, I'm going to have a title. Okay, for my graph, and then I'm also going to have the same quarters, dimes, and I'm just gonna remember for here, whenever you're creating a bar graph, we always start at, yes, that's right, a 0. Okay, so you're gonna have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, this obviously limits us here. If you were using this chart to create the graph for you, but you went over, remember, you don't have to start by ones. You don't have to be counting by ones. These could be 10s, 20s, depending on how large of numbers you got to based on the data that you were counting. So that's always going to be an option. Okay, your third step here is to write a 2-step word problem. Okay, remember with the 2-step word problems, that means that you must take 2 steps in order to solve the final problem. So for this one, you just get to write and create your word problem. So I might say something like, Abby has 10 more quarters than Miss H. Okay, so that first step then is going to be, right, I have to figure out, because my question is going to be how many quarters or does Abby and Miss H have all together, right? And this is a two-step word problem. One, because it doesn't say that Abby has 10 quarters, right? It says that Abby has 10 more. So my first job would be to solve for that problem. So I have to figure out how many quarters Abby has. So if I know, remember this is good, this one right here is good. My first step, number one, is a comparison bar. Okay, I'm going to put Abby up here because she has more quarters than Miss H. Okay, and I know that she has 10 more, so my more is going to be over here. And Miss H, how many quarters do I have? Well, if I go to my chart, I'm going to use my bar graph since I didn't finish that over here. Times are 8. Sorry about that. Got excited. All right, so we know that Miss H has 7 quarters. Okay, so I'm going to use that data and I'm going to put that over here. So Miss H has 7, but Abby has 10 more. So my equation is going to be Miss H, her 7 quarters plus the 10 more that Abby has will tell us that Abby has 17 quarters. Now, this is a two-step problem because the question is asking, remember we always want to underline our question, how many do we have all together? So that means I have to take the 8 quarters that Mrs. H has plus the 17 quarters that Abby has to find the total that we have all together. Okay, and you can solve that problem in however way that you prefer. It's totally up to you. Okay, so you might say something like, right, 7 plus 8 is 15. Make a new 10. 1 plus 1 is 2. Or you can do create a drawing, or you can find different ways to make a 10, which is, I know, something that many of us love to do, right? You can say, if I take 3 away from my 8 and add that here, then that's going to give me 20 plus 5 equals 25. Okay, or you can do the drawings, right? You can make your 10. You have your 17 ones, and you're going to add your 8 ones. Okay, and then you can count up each of those, finding ways. Oh, I see I made a 10 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's a 20, 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, so there's many ways you get to add these up however you would like. Okay, the biggest thing is that we want you to understand that we want you to think kind of critically about this problem. If you want to ask a grown-up or an older sibling, if you did a good job of making sure that you have a two-step word problem and not a single-step word problem, right? A single step might just be how many quarters does Abby have, right? Because that would be that first step that we did, okay? All right, on the back, you just get again, we have Puzzle Penguin. You get a look at the data that he was able to analyze and the graph that he created. Okay. And then you get to figure out what was his problem. Okay. And this back piece, you just have some review problems, addition and subtraction, because in Unit 6, we're going to go back to 3-digit subtraction. So we want to kind of get your brain warmed up with that piece. But that's really all that your assignment is for today, is creating your own graph. And again, you can use the homework page that you have that we're sharing with you in your Google Classroom. Maybe you have that book at home. Or you can choose the homework and remembering page, which has very similar data, but you're not creating your own data. Or you can find a blank sheet at home that you can go and create and kind of do your own data collection. Okay, just like I did here. Okay. And kind of just real quick to walk you through the homework piece. Okay, this one is Prince won 8 medals at the dog show. Lady won 5 medals. Muffy won 3 medals. Make a table to show this. You're going to put the dog here, Prince, Lady, Muffy, the number of medals. And then here you're going to do just like what we just did, and it shows you the picture that they want you to use. You're going to make a picture graph with this data up here. Down here, you're going to use this exact same data. You're going to put in Prince, Lady, and Muffy. You're going to start at 0. And then you're going to create bar graphs to show this information. Okay, and just as we know, the rest on the back for the homework and remembering is kind of just making sure that you're feeling fresh and up to date on the things that we have covered previously. All right, so if you feel like that is enough for your brain for today, awesome. If you would be interested in a extension, then I want you to continue to stay on, because I'm going to show you how to create a pie graph using your Google Sheets. All right. So for those of you on an extension, we're going to talk about pie graphs today and how to read them. And then I'm going to show you how to take the data that you've collected, or whether you found that online or in books, and you're going to be able to create your own graph online. Or not online, but on your Google Drive, and you can share it with me or you can share it in your Google Math Classroom. Additionally, you can share it with on Seesaw. So it's totally up to you. All right, Maps, I'm going to go ahead and get this one started.
Cruising around the Caribbean in search of adventure. This sure is the life, isn't it, Moby? Whoa, what's this? Welcome, travelers. We have learned that you are searching for the monster of youth. Follow these clues and eternal childhood will be yours. Monster of youth? Never heard of it. But, well, okay, let's do it. For your first task, you must find your way to the Caribbean nation with the most ducats. Ducats? Oh, money. Well, sounds like a job for my trusty world fact book. You can find anything in there. Let's see. Caribbean countries with the coolest flags. Caribbean countries with the most spectacular shipwrecks. Ah, here it is. Caribbean countries with the highest gross domestic product. Oh, well, that's a measure of how much money a country has. But you know, this list of numbers is all garbled and confusing. Maybe we should use a graph to help us visualize which one has the most ducats. I'm thinking we can use a bar graph. First, we list all the independent countries of the Caribbean along the bottom, or x-axis. And on the left-hand y-axis, we mark off levels of ducatage. We could use the graph to compare values of money per person for each country. Looks like we're headed to the Bahamas. I wonder what we do now. I really want to find the monster of youth. Well done. For your next clue, you must find the Bahamian island with the largest area compared with the area of all the Bahamas combined. Godspeed. Who's sending us these things, and how can they see us? Well, let's go back to my fact book. I have a listing here of the biggest islands of the Bahamas, sorted by area. I think we should use another graph to help us see it more clearly. Since we're graphing pieces of a whole, let's use a circle graph, or pie graph. Right, the island of Abaco has 1,680 square kilometers, Acklins and the Crooked Islands have 520 square kilometers, Andros has 5,960, and so on. Andros Island has the largest slice, so I guess it's the island with the largest area. Off to Andros, my good man. Huh, I don't see any birds. I wonder if we made a wrong turn. Ah. Okay, just an octopus, nothing to see here. You have proved yourselves worthy seafarers. For your final task, you must disembark and find the nest of the fabled Bahamian Chickcharnies. Once there, you will encounter the legendary monster of youth. Cheerio. What the heck is a Chickcharnie? And where are we going to find one? Yeah, me too. I'm starting to wonder whether these Chickcharnies exist at all. I mean, I'm all for finding the monster of youth, but then what's the point if it's going to take us forever? Let me double check my fact book to see if they even exist. Huh. Well, according to this line graph, the number of Chickcharnie sightings has decreased steadily over the last 300 years. Yeah, see, the number of sightings is plotted against the scale of years from earliest to latest. You know, Moby, they could be extinct. What was that? Could that be it? It's so funny looking. Hello, we're looking for the monster of youth.
I am the monster of youth, but I'm afraid you're too late. My powers of granting eternal youth are all used up. I can only sit around these fair forests, sending parchments to youngsters like yourself and offering words of wisdom instead.
Okay, so what wisdom do you have for us?
One word. Plastics, my dear boy. Plastics.
Plastics.
All right, Mavs. So now you know, right? So pie charts are another way to show and see data. So what I'm going to do with us today is we are going to learn how to take the data that we have and we are going to create our own graph. So what your job is going to be is first you're going to find your drive icon. Okay, so I know most of us have it bookmarked and you should be able to get to your drive. You can also find it on your single sign-in that you can go to. So right now, first I'm going to have you go to your drive. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to find this new. So when you click on new, you are going to go to Google Sheets and you are going to click on a new Google Sheet. Okay, so what this is going to do is you're going to be able to pull it up. Okay, up here you're going to click, and I had already pulled mine up, so I'm just going to come right over here. And when you're done with this, you can submit this to Google Classroom if you would like. Seesaw, kind of the typical ways that you can show your research. Okay, so all right, so you're going to click on here. So I already typed in here, and that's why I changed it earlier. Coins in my piggy bank. So whatever whatever it is that you charted or graphed, that is what your title is going to be. So that's just one way to show your title and to name your document. Now I'm going to use the data that I used in the graph that I created yesterday. Okay, the same numbers. So if you remember what that is, okay, that would be quarters, dimes, nickels, pennies. Okay, so once that's done, then I'm going to, next to it, I'm going to plug in this data. So I'm going to say quarters, I have 7 quarters. Dimes, I have 8 dimes. Nickels, I had 16. And pennies, I had 8. Now let's say that I wanted a visual representation of this data in a pie chart so that I could see that representation of the types of coins that I had, looking at them in the pie chart to see kind of that percentage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight right here, and now that piece is highlighted. I am going to insert, and all I have to do is I can go down and you can see the chart option. So this is super fun. So you're going to click on chart. Cool. So you can see right now that it shows that 20% of the coins that I have in my piggy bank are pennies. 17.9% are quarters. Again, 20.5 because I have the same number of pennies and dimes. And then 41% are nickels. Now, if you're like, well, that's pretty cool. What are some other options? So maybe you kind of feel like spending some time and getting engaged in this piece. So you could, once you're done with that, you can be done with it and you can submit this, or additionally, you can create the types of graphs that we've been using previously. So you can look at, I can turn this data into a horizontal bar chart, bar graph is what we've been calling it, a vertical, okay? And this one shows kind of the line chart. So again, even though we talked about looking at data over time, it can also just give you a line graph data to chart the types of coins that we have right now. So Mavericks, I hope that you have enjoyed today's extension. I'm excited to see what you do with these opportunities. Have fun playing around with the different types of graphs and adding your data, and I will talk to you tomorrow.